You are listening to the Fresh Take Network.
What it is, what it do? Welcome to Fresh Take, the rundown. Joshua Adam Lamar with the talents of Sexy Dangerous, the Devoneer. It's Devon Seal.
We almost started this by me sneezing.
Wow. Well, I'm going to start it by coughing, so I'm going to go on mute. So you can talk for 2 seconds.
I don't know what to do without you usually, so I'll just fill the gap.
Ready to go. Thank goodness for the mute button. We didn't have it for so long. So we recorded one of our favorite pods that we've done in a long time. We use the new function on iOS where you can record a phone call as Devin was going on a long journey of a drive. And, technology we thought was going to help us, but it only failed us. So that's why we have no pod last week. So we're going to kind of take some of the stuff we had from last week, infuse it with some of the news from this week, preview the Emmys that we have coming up here. And yeah, let's start off with, I think, a news story that we haven't talked about that a lot of people wanted us to talk about that's been circulating over the last month here. Ted Lasso season 4.
Oh, yeah. I heard about it.
So, Jamie Tartt will not be coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that. We know that Hannah sounds like she'll be coming back. It sounds like we will be getting Roy back. Doesn't know if we get Keely back for sure yet. And then it's also up and down on Sudeikis. Where are you on all this right now?
Okay, so what I heard was they had 3 principal actors confirmed, which was Hannah Waddingham, Roy Kent, and then Higgins.
Yeah.
The highly suggested rumors that it's based on a women's team.
Yes.
Which would be very topical.
Which Roy would coach.
And then, which I think that'd probably be pretty funny. And then Sudeikis, as in, like, has blessed it, but may not be a part of it. And then I hear that he's going to show up, like, occasionally. And then it's kind of like the same thing with wrestling, where you wait for, like, the pop for your favorite character.
Yeah.
And then, it's not really Ted Lasso. It's Ted Lasso in name. Is it the kind of thing where he's going to show up? He's going to show up like on a Zoom on the first episode and then be done with it, and then show up for the season finale and just say how proud he is of everybody. Like, I don't think that's what people want.
It's like when you get like a spin-off of a show, right? It's kind of like a spin-off, and it's like once in a while, like remember they had the Blackish spin-off, and once in a while Anthony Anderson would show up.
Yeah. Now,
so it's kind of like that.
So let's go back and comb our minds through these spin-off TV shows. The most famous example that comes to my mind would be Frasier, I suppose.
Yeah.
I know there's lots of other ones like the Chicago shows, NCISs, CSIs. They're kind of separate universes with a little bit of crossover, but to have a complete separate standalone, really Frasier comes to mind. And anything else that you can think of? Like, I'm sure there's...
I mean, Big Bang had young Sheldon, obviously, and now they're doing this.
Does that really count? Because did you ever have like the Sheldon cast in Young Sheldon, or is it just like
not to the last one when they showed Sheldon in the future kind of thing? So they never really did that. I mean, Cheers, like you said, is the big one. Joey, but Saul's a great one right there. Just trying to think. I can't think of any spin. I mean, Scrubs kind of had the weird med student one, right? But that wasn't like a spinoff. It was kind of like the next part of it. So you had like Zach Braff and Faison like showing up and whatnot, but not really part of it.
Laverne and Shirley apparently is a spinoff series.
Yes, it is. That's of Happy Days. And then Mork and Mindy was a spinoff of that.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Because there's a famous episode, I think, from Happy Days of the first time that Mort comes on and he interacts with Fonzie. And that's kind of like when Robin kind of gets noticed for the first time.
Another good one that I was a fan of was Daria.
Yeah. That came from what, Beavis and Butthead?
Yeah. Oh, Angel. Yeah.
Angel from Buffy, yeah. We'll be talking about Sarah Michelle Gellar in a second here.
Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Boston Legal was a spinoff of The Practice. I don't remember. I remember
all
Boston
the
Legal,
like Chicago Fire, Chicago Rescue, all those shows.
Okay, I think we kind of like caught up with it. So there's one or two prominent examples that I think this Ted Lasso spinoff would fit in with. Now, is the quality going to be there? Who's to say? I mean, Sudeikis is relatively happy because he gets a check out of this, right?
Yeah.
So, although I was listening to The Town and they were talking about the history of Ted Lasso and kind of like some of the differences of opinions they had. They wanted to keep going, or he wanted to do 3 seasons, or do you know anything about that?
I always thought that the agreement on it was that we're gonna do like the jump up. They get relegated, then they get unrelegated, and then they win the Champions League, or at least they come close, kind of like what we saw. The idea was never to either to show them win or to show that they at least bounce back and Ted made a difference in all their lives. So it's kind of one of those things where it is like a perfect ending.
Okay. I was more so talking about like the background of it, like in terms of pressures to continue it and offers.
That's what I was saying. I never heard anything different than the 3-season arc. It was always kind of from season 1. That seemed to be the arc, was the 3 seasons. Now, obviously, it grew to be. I mean, if you go to the Apple page, I think right now, like it's Slow Horses and Bad Monkey are the 2 top shows, but then it's Lasso right after that. And Lasso never seems to leave the top 5 wanted shows. Never.
Well, it's their most watched show by like a country mile too. So
yeah, it's that in the morning show, which I don't get, and is coming back. So I know Devin's excited because he gets to hear my reviews of the morning show. I'm not.
My partner was in it for a minute, but I don't know if they're still current, to be honest.
Bradley Jackson's almost back in our lives.
I think they kind of dropped out after a while. I mean, ultimately, it's the kind of show that I'm sure we would pay respect to and we would watch and give it a chance. I don't see any reason why it should be bad. Like, I'm not going to say it's bad because it's a women's team. I'm not going to say it's bad because of a lack of Sudeikis. It's just a show. It's a relatively. It basically, if we're going to be honest, it's a cash grab. But we'll judge it on its own merits before we go forward with it. And it may not be a show for us. It may not be a show that we end up continuing or covering at all. Like, who's to say? I'm not really I don't really care that much, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to be so upset that I'm going to go on this giant rant. I'm just going to take it for what it is, which we know it's a Frasier, and it might be good or it might be bad.
I'm happy to go back in a word with those characters because I love them. And I'm also happy knowing one day I get to go back and rewatch it. I'm happy either way. It's kind of like, with Mad Men, they've thrown around the idea now that Sally now, what's Sally's actual name?
Karen Shipka,
that she's becoming a pretty big actor now in Hollywood. And there's been the idea like, oh, you could do the Sally spinoff. And part of me is like, yeah, let's do it. I'm totally on board. But part of me is also like, I'm good. They ended it perfectly. I don't need to know, like, we go back and like, oh yeah, well, by the way, Don did get Coke. He did get Coca-Cola. Like, I don't know if I need to know that. I like the idea of like, yeah, I can at least think that, or hey, they just ended on the iconic ad because it's one of the most iconic ads.
I think he got it.
I think we know he got it, but I don't my point is I don't know if I really want to see Don Draper in 1990 or what Peggy Olson is up to. I mean, obviously I would watch it if it happened. Maybe I'd change my mind, and how do we know Sally would be on that side, right? I could go down a whole rabbit hole of the what if of what she became. She obviously became an adult a lot faster, having to take care of, of Betty with Betty's cancer and everything like that, and having become, the adult of the house with Dawn gone so much.
Yeah, I don't think it's an adequate description of her as a character. I mean, we always talked about what she meant for the show because she was the perfect reflection of the people around her.
Yeah.
It's also like that, like I mentioned with the Lasso thing. Like, if that were to be the case, like I'm just waiting for all these cameos of people that in reality wouldn't even fit in a show about Sally, considering she'd probably move away or she'd go do her own thing. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need Kenny, and we don't need Pete,
No.
and we don't need Pete's wife, and we don't need any of these things in our lives. And so what's the difference between that, so having the branding name on it, and then Karen Shipka doing a show, because was she about 20 something, 21 or something? I don't, she's young adult.
I mean,
so she was born. It would have been a show based in the 70s or maybe the early 80s, like
early 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
So then why don't we just have her? If she wants to, she can just be in a show set in that time period, and it wouldn't have anything to do with Mad Men. Like, what's the difference here? Like, and then you bring in all these people who, and that's probably the sad thing. I mean, if we want to talk about, we're talking about the state of pop culture kind of in general right now. Like, this is also hampering, cinematic universe shows like Marvel and Star Wars, where it's like basically you have all these old school fans, if we call them that, or these diehards, or whatever word works, and then they basically are just going to downvote until they get what they want, which is a live action pop of some animated character, or Hayden Christensen in live action, or an original Avengers in one of these TV shows, which is unlikely to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and then when it finally happens, and it's like, oh, it's so gratuitous that it hits you over the head with it, and then it's not really enjoyable anymore, and then it takes away from the show because you're just waiting. Like, it's the same thing what happened in Acolyte with Darth Plagueis. Like, we basically knew he should be there the whole friggin' time, and then to pop him for like 2 seconds at the end of the show dilutes not only the idea of Plagueis, but it dilutes the show, because if he was here the whole time, why don't we just deal with it, or why don't we just get him in the show?
Yeah. I mean, there's a big fight to get that back. And since last time we talked, that show got canceled. Clone High has been canceled, unfortunately. I kind of figured that when it was a binge, it's never a good sign. Now, like, unless you're Netflix, if a show is on binge, that's a bad sign.
Man, I don't. That's a tough one.
Because that they don't care about having your show being part of a weekly conversation, right? If they're just going to binge, they just wanted to get rid of it and get it out there.
Right. And you know what? There's probably some very difficult, but like business practices behind the scenes too, where it's like, oh, we did a 2-season deal. Season 1, like if it was just a 1-season deal with an option to renew, we would have canceled it.
Like even Velma got dropped. I wonder if there's even a season 3 of Velma. I'll look right now.
But season 2 is coming. Is that correct?
No, it came.
Oh, it came. Okay. How come no one burnt down any like buildings or like lit the internet on fire? Was it fine, or was it just as bad as the first one?
It was just really bad.
Really? I did, like, don't get me wrong, like I spend a healthy amount of time on Reddit like the next person, but like I didn't hear a single thing about Velma. That's really interesting. And you watched it, right?
Season 3. No, I couldn't. It was just so bad. Season 2, I just gave up. And I don't give up on stuff. I'm like, I just have so many better things to watch. And this is when I was in my Doctor Who bag as well, which I've faded back from a little bit right now. But that's when I was watching a lot of Doctor Who. It's a daunting task to watch Doctor Who.
Doctor Who kind of comes and goes, and I think it's one of those things where you catch up slowly, and then once you're caught up, like you just watch it as it comes, right? Like, and the best thing about Doctor Who is you get to kind of pick and choose if you want.
You pick your doctor. The doctor you start with is your doctor, right? We said.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's basically it. So
those things were unfortunate. Few other things. Some movies that we saw. I finally got to see Furiosa.
Okay, let's go.
Man, so you and I last week, we were talking about what was the best movie so far this year. And what was it, more of a movie year, a TV show year, a gaming year? Man, the movies that some of the blockbusters that come out have been good but underappreciated, I think, this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been, you convinced me, it's been much more of a gaming year. And we'll talk about the gaming year and how last week we probably had maybe the game of the year come out. And maybe 2 weeks before that was the other game of the year
Yeah, no
nomination,
kidding.
right? So, Furiosa is. I've watched it twice now.
Oh wow!
I freaking love this movie.
Okay,
It is so well done.
Yes,
it is so well done. I almost wonder if I like it more than Hemsworth is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, that was
Hemsworth
what
is
people.
great. Anya is great in it. Whoever plays Jack is great. I think they tell such a good story. It's kind of a reinvigoration of action in many ways.
Yeah.
It's such a great story. It's good to be back into that world. I think George Miller said like it's kind of a reimagining of the world. It's a prequel, but it's also a reimagining of the Mad Max world of how they go forward with things.
Well, I have a theory that I mentioned to you, but continue on what you were.
No, I just think, I do think that Dune or Inside Out is still probably the best movie I saw this year, like for movie of the year. And I think Variety, I believe it was Variety, just put out their first preview of Oscar movies, the top 10. And the ones that stuck out to me was Dune, was Inside Out, the Saturday Night Live movie, which is getting a lot of praise.
Oh, really?
That was on there, which I really want to see that one. We got Greg playing Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson in that, by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I need to see that for that. But yeah, it made me so mad because George Miller, if you remember, was supposed to do that Justice League movie, and our boy Adam Brody was in that.
Oh yeah, that was like when we had when we fan casted everybody, and it was like, wow, these are like really, really good.
I believe he was the Flash in it.
Okay.
And that's when Armie Hammer was supposed to be Batman. I can't remember who Superman was supposed to be. But man, it got me so mad. I'm like, man, what he could have done with Justice League. Anyways, Furiosa is just. I'm actually really mad I didn't see it in the theater. Really, really mad.
Yeah, I know I tried to push you a little bit, but life gets in the way for a lot of us at different times. There's lots of movies that I wish I would have seen in the theater.
Same with Godzilla and Kong. I wish I saw that in the theater.
You know what?
It's fine, but I just I had such a fun time with that movie. Like I really had a fun time with that movie. Like honestly, I'm halfway through before we started this. I was watching The Quiet Place Day 1, and I'm like, I'm glad I watched this on Paramount Plus.
Sure, yeah. You're kind of throwing a lot at me right now, so I'm going to try to hit it in.
Okay, go back to Furiosa and your theory.
Okay, so I think it's pretty well established. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I think that Furiosa is basically a visual representation of someone passing down the legend of Furiosa. Someone who may have been there or someone who heard it from someone who was there, because there's certain elements of the story that they decidedly cut away from and don't explain. And that's how legends are born, right? That's how these things become twisted into myths, or these people become inflated into things that they're not. Which I think is kind of what I would talk about I finished The Cape Crusader a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. But I kind of have the same kind of theory. The most prominent example for Furiosa was, how did she lose her arm, right? And we definitely thought like, this is how we're going to see it, blah 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 blah. And guess what? They cut away from it the moment we want to see it.
It kind of reminded me of Hot Tub Time Machine with Christian Glover, and he was like, "That's how he loses the arm. That's how he loses the arm."
I only got through half of that movie, so I don't know the reference.
Oh, okay, yeah,
but I'm sure it was very funny.
Doesn't have his arm before they go back into the past. I'm like, how is he going to lose that arm?
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to brush up on it once in a while. But I think it adds like it kind of seems like Mad Max Fury Road we were there for. What the audience saw was exactly what happened, because that also kind of cuts away from interesting action scenes, especially when Max goes and kills like the bullet farmer or whatever, right? It's that foggy scene or whatever. This one, they just cut away from certain things, as if the person telling me the story didn't get to see those things.
Sorry, we breaking news. Steve McQueen's son, Chad McQueen, has passed away, unfortunately.
Oh,
That
too
just
bad.
broke. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, continue. R.I.P.
No, I don't really have much other to say than that. And then, of course, like the mastery of George Miller, where so many things are so well thought out. The action's great, the vehicles are great, the setting's great. And then you mentioned like the last point of the last 2 points of Furiosa was Hemsworth was in his bag and just enjoyed the shit out of himself, and he had, like, such a perfect role for him in so many ways, and it got him out. Like, that really broke the like, I know he had the prosthetic the prosthetic nose, but it also broke away from like just the Thor trappings, you know. And I wouldn't say it's a curse, but just like he got to play a character that was so incredibly different. It looked like he had a lot of fun. It looked like a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah, like, he has Extraction, but I think he really needed this.
Yes, it's just too bad that, like, and I have no idea why that people didn't go see this. I mean, the first Mad Max people didn't really go see either, so like maybe that's kind of telling. But the people who do like it are just so obsessed about it. And then finally, the guy who played Praetorian Jack, his name is Tom Burke. I just looked this up.
He's awesome.
And you know what's funny? Like, he very much absolutely must be, have made to look like Max, to look like what's his name, Gibson.
Yeah.
But he was just this great character. He was mysterious. He was handsome. He was kind of charming. He was like, I you didn't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy. It wasn't all about him in this movie, which was great, even though every time he was on the movie, he shined. But just to bring it back full circle, he's going to be in Blade Runner 2099, the miniseries. So buy some stock for this guy now.
When's that coming out?
It just wrapped like in the spring, so next year. Probably.
Nice, man. 2025 is going to be great.
I think we're sleeping on 2024. Like, there's a lot of different things that we can talk about. Like, I saw Alien.
For this year?
Yes, absolutely. Like, okay, so
yeah,
you saw
dude. We still have. I mean, this is our last kind of let's just shoot the shit type of podcast, because we have Agatha next week. We have Star Wars Lego Rebuild the Galaxy. We have Penguin next week. There's a few actually cable TV shows that I'm kind of interested in that I'll be reviewing.
Okay.
So we have some good movies. I can't believe I'm saying this. That Venom trailer today actually got me interested.
Oh, I totally skipped it. Totally skipped it.
Because they teased Null. And Null is like the king of the symbiotes.
Right.
And he is a badass. Like, to kill Null, Venom had to take Mjolnir and Silver Surfer's sword and merge them more or less into Stormbreaker to kill Null.
Oh, is that what Stormbreaker actually is?
No, but that's kind of like it was like more or less a battle axe. It wasn't Stormbreaker per se, right?
Okay.
But it was like a battle axe. I just got the Marvel subscription again, so I've been reading a lot of comics the last little bit. But to kill Null, he literally he took over the power from Captain Universe as well. That's a different story for a different day. But I was like, fuck, Sony's gonna use Null, and I'm excited to see him. But like, are they gonna just ruin what could be one of the best villains in Marvel? One of the newer villains in Marvel?
When it comes to Sony, I don't trust them. I don't trust them at all. I'm not going to trust them. No. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to watch it. Tell me if any of them come to Marvel and don't get changed, then I'll invest in it. But for now, like, I'm hands off. I don't want to see Kraven. I don't want to see Morbius. I don't want to see Captain Woman, Spider, people.
Madam Web.
Yeah, exactly.
I might be watching that tonight after this.
No way.
I might do it. Maybe one night we'll have to do like a live watch of it. Maybe.
Just man, did you ever see Morbius? Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say that seems like to be a better
Matt Smith
movie.
Doesn't give a fudge. He's doing whatever he wants in that movie, man.
Okay.
He's doing whatever the heck he wants to do.
See, I'm
trying to live on my cursing, so you'll notice a few substitutions in there.
I'm not sure if I'm at the point in my life where I care if movies are good or bad or not. or sorry, if I don't care anymore, like if I would just watch literally one of the worst movies in the last 5 years, which would be Morbius, and just like sit through it.
Yeah.
Which I think is a different, in which what's kind of weird nowadays, and it can probably go to this, talk about that with the state of video games too, is it almost seems like things can't be fun and bad anymore. You have to like go down in this blaze of glory and be one of, like, I feel like I'm always constantly reinventing my list of like the worst things in the last 5 years or the last 10 years. We look back, I've been really guilty this summer of going through Tubi or Netflix or Pluto or this Cineverse or something like that, and just scrolling along and seeing, it's another free one, and just picking up these weird 90 movies like Demolition Man or Fifth Element or whatever. And although we have the power of hindsight, which is still kind of important, a lot of those movies that weren't really well received were still really entertaining as an audience member, which I don't think I can say about movies like Morbius and Madam Web and whatever else. And I'm not sure why. Is it just because of the pressure of like trying to build onto a universe? Is it because every movie that's being made right now theoretically should be a cinematic universe movie? I'm not really sure what the answer is. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I think people saw what Marvel did, and for Sony, for example, they have to use Spider-Man every so often, so Marvel doesn't get the full right. So, like you see in the Venom trailers, like in association with Marvel, it's like,
Yeah.
And that's what Fox was doing, right? That's why there was different X-Men movies or different Fantastic Four movies, because if they didn't, they weren't going to get the rights for them all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that plays a big factor into it as far as how the properties work. Look at Universal, right? And they tried to make the Dark Universe. At least they pulled the plug on things. Sometimes these studios don't make that decision that fast.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was like I've seen most of the X-Men, but like Apocalypse really killed it for me. Like I didn't see New Mutants.
Dark Phoenix is so bad.
I didn't see Dark Mutants. Dark Phoenix. I didn't see New Mutants. Like
New Mutants is one thing's good in New Mutants.
What's that?
Anya Taylor-Joy is magic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just in this weird point right now where like I don't have any, like, I feel like especially the last 2 or 3 years post pandemic, I put a lot of effort to see the movies that I know I must see: the Dunes, Furiosas, Alien, et cetera, et cetera. There's other examples I'm sure that I can think of. And then after that, I don't give a shit. My give a shit meter is really low, even for things that are franchises. Like I didn't really care. Like, and I was late by a few days, multiple times on Acolyte. I was like, I haven't finished half of the Marvel shows that have come out in the last 2 years. So, and even some of these other movies that have kind of like, maybe they make a splash for a week or so. People talk about them on Reddit for about a week, and then they just kind of disappear. Like The Menu, for example, was one of those movies that I kept telling myself, like, oh, like this looks like, the trailer looked pretty good. We talked about it on this podcast a bunch of times. It showed up on Disney right away, so it wasn't hard to get. And people on the internet were talking about it for about a week, 2 weeks, and then it just died. And now when I'm scrolling through stuff and I'm looking at it, it keeps popping up. It keeps showing me looking me right in the eyeballs, being like, you got to click on me. And I just have no desire to click on that movie because I'm not saying it's bad and I'm not saying it's good.
It's great.
I'm not even trying to judge it. I'm just saying, like, the way that media is kind of presented to us now is that if it's not life changing, or you're not a stan for this franchise or these actors, like, there's just like no point in watching some of these things. Like, who am I going to talk to The Menu about other than like maybe you or Adam? Like, no one in my immediate life's watching The Menu, but people are watching Top Gun.
Well, there's this movie on Netflix right now that everyone's kind of talking about, but it'll last maybe the week right now, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought that Nicole Kidman show would be the big talking point, and nobody was. Rebel Ridge. It's on Netflix, and I've had a few people have conversations to me about it, or you got to watch it. It's got Don Johnson's the most noticeable person into it. And then, that Nicole Kidman show with Liv Schreiber, #1 on Netflix right now, but I have heard no conversations with it. And now maybe that's just the circle of people that I'm around. And I also feel like, obviously we're on the more nerd side of things, right? So we're going to hear more about that kind of stuff. So my circle has been more about like, Penguin's coming, or the Star Wars show is coming, or Agatha is about to come on, and those conversations will go. But the Nicole Kidman show, not even from my folks, I've even heard about it.
Yeah, and that's a problem. And we're not even talking about the quality of the show.
No, it's just what's the dialogue like? I mean, I feel like the big thing, I mean, again, it's in my circle too, that will be talked about will be this Vince McMahon documentary by Bill Simmons and the guy that did Tiger King. Like that will be, and I think that's going to go outside of the zeitgeist too, because of all the stuff and that, happened during this documentary with Vince. Some really vile, terrible things.
I do want to give credit where it's due, and it seems to me that wrestling as a product, and I'm not saying WWE or AEW, is a bit more in the public eye the last few years.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I will give it credit for like being socially relevant for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's hot right now, and the fact that it's going to be on Netflix in 4 months here.
Yeah, sure. Like it just seemed like whether it be, you know what it is? It's probably a combination of Cena, Batista, and The Rock laying the groundwork for like now those guys, like we definitely consider them actors now. We could probably rank them on skill. And I don't think it'd be very
obvious who #1 is.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious who the best actor of that group is. But that being said, from what I imagine, the talent of wrestling is also pretty strong right now too. And to have two competing companies who are pretty good makes the product better. And then, of course, we're in like the weird graphic T-shirt era. I'm wearing one as a gift from Josh. You can see it has a giant robot and some noodles on it. But the idea of wearing wrestling T-shirts or whatever is seen as pretty cool right now too. So
shouts to Tyrese Halliburton, always rocking them, or our friend Jermaine Cummins.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if we're going to talk about the state of media right now, like movies, it's kind of go big or go home. The biggest movies of the year are basically Dune, Inside Out, Alien, which I saw, which we could talk about.
Deadpool.
Oh yeah, Deadpool. Yeah, which was fine. It was fine. It was like a 6.5, 7. I'm fine with it. Like,
Deadpool seems like the most ultimate basic bro movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's that sketch from College Humor. I'm not gonna go, but go check out the sketch that College Humor had about being diagnosed as a basic bro. Everything in that is the people that think Deadpool is the best Marvel movie since Endgame, which it's not.
Yeah, you make like weird sex jokes. You drink Coors Light. Maybe you drive a Dodge Ram pickup truck. Like we know those people.
Because to me, I'm sorry, and people are going to get mad at this. The Megan Thee Stallion scene with She-Hulk is no different than the Bye 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 scene. Same energy on both of them.
Not even. Yeah, it's exactly.
But one of them is people like, this is absolute garbage, and how could they do this? But then Deadpool does it with NSYNC, and it's like, oh, this is so funny, and let's make memes about it and copy it everywhere instead of getting super mad.
I honestly had no idea what the point of it in the movie was.
I would say, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much. I mean, I would say the best Marvel movie since Endgame is Wakanda Forever, probably?
No, Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi's up there.
I'm pretty confident. I think
Eternals quite a bit.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle. I think the answer is Shang-Chi. I think it's original.
I think Miss Marvel or WandaVision's the best show.
Yep. Fine. That's fine by me.
I think Multiverse of Madness gets a bad rap. I think it's better than people realize. But I think there was just too much pressure from the cameos people wanted in it.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying about the pop with Lasso and stuff. Like now we're in this weird point where if you don't get any OGs or like super fan castings like we saw in Deadpool Wolverine, like what's the point?
I think that's why I enjoyed Deadpool more this time, because I was like, I'm not going into this expecting like, oh, I'm going to see this cameo. I was like, I'm just taking this movie for what it is. But the problem is, as we build towards Secret War, and now there's all the rumors that Toby and Hugh are going to be in it. I'm like, cool. Like, but there's people like, oh, I'm going to lose my mind when I see Toby and Hugh. It's like, you know what? I would like to build towards new characters that actually matter instead of, hey, Tobey Maguire and Hugh come back. Like that joke that they have in Deadpool, like till he's 90. It's like, it's not a joke. That's reality.
Well, yeah, because money talks, right? And like divorce is expensive. Like he's just gonna get like every time he's like Hugh Jackman just has to show up once every 5 years, basically.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all he's got, and he's just gonna get more and more and more and more money, and that's it. Like. So whatever, but maybe it's partly like we're partly to blame too, because we pop for these things. Like maybe we're not going crazy about it and making memes, but of all the times you've been in the theater this year, the 2 or 3 times you spent money on Marvel. So of course they're gonna like the formula is proven to work. Even if we from an artistic standpoint think that it's kind of lazy.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the gaming side of things here. Astrobot came out, and looks like it's been phenomenal. What's the game that came out like 3 weeks ago that's really like Elden Ring hard?
Oh, Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, I was talking to Nick about that, and Nick's like, I want to play it, but he's like, I've heard it's like too hard. He's like, I don't know if I want to mess around with it because it's going to be too hard.
I don't think I think it's somewhere in between. I think it's closer to God of War than it is to a Souls-like. It's actually so. I think it's technically considered a boss rush game, which it's just basically you're facing. Basically, the game is just to face 20 or 30 bosses. But what I've heard was that after like the second area, the difficulty really ramps up because they take like the first 2 areas are the training grounds, right? And so. Anytime you face like hard bosses, you basically it's just pattern recognition, right? And so gone are the days where people want to take or companies want to take your quarters from you, so they have to make these complex patterns, and that's part of the challenge. It is not a Souls-like game. It's not as hard as Dark Souls. It's not as hard as even Sekiro, people were saying. It's basically along the lines of like the medium difficulty of God of War.
Yeah.
So, but
and
there's not much. But there's not much to do in it other than beat bosses.
Right.
So you're basically
you think you're going to play it eventually?
I'm certainly interested in it. There's some weird things about the developers who came out and said like women shouldn't be playing video games and stuff like that. And they're like they're like shills for like the Chinese government, and it's kind of weird. But they sold 10 million copies in 3 weeks. Like that's pretty good. So. There's always something to talk about in the video game. In the world of video
college
games.
Football came out and that took over the world. Madden came out and it was bad again. There's a new game that came to the Apple Store this week, which is pretty much Tecmo Bowl. You know that Retro Bowl game that's on there? They have the NFL license now. People are mad because you can only get it with Apple Arcade, which I don't really care because I have Apple One, which is connected to my Apple Music and Apple TV, so I'm going to have it regardless. So it's pretty fun to have that on your phone. College football still killing it. Devin's the master of the slash and the cut on the receiving side of things right now for us.
Oh, perfect. That's
we're heading cool. To the national championship. So
what am I like Wes Welker or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
So you're grinding it out right now. Nick is back-to-back defensive player. Nick, man, he's pissing me off. Trying to jump to the NFL. I have to convince him to stay.
Oh, really?
He's like, man, we got to stay one more year, man. We all got to go to the NFL at the same time.
Well,
so trying to talk him out of going.
Well, we
have a 15 sack season,
Wow, that's a lot. Well, we talked about this last week when we were on the phone and we were trying to record with the iOS beta. And we were trying to decide if it was a gaming year or not, or movies. I don't know if it's a movie year, but I think some of the highs of the movies have been pretty good. Like there's at least 5 very good movies this year, and then your kind of dose of indie movies or foreign films or movies that are going to come out for the Oscars. At first, you weren't sure if it was a gaming year, and then I think I kind of convinced you. But also, part of what makes it a gaming year, though, is the stories that have come from gaming now. And what we talked about with some of these movies flopping, some of these game flops are like stories that are in and of themselves, right? Like we just saw Concord, which was such a spectacular thing to be around. It just the data came out, only 69 people in the whole world were able to platinum it. Yeah, nice. Justice League, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League was another like colossal failure.
Such a bad. When we kind of saw that one coming.
Well, no, of course saw it coming, but it's still crazy to see it on the outside. And I mean, Star Wars Outlaws has come and gone, and people
sales were bad.
Yeah, basically, yes. Shares have dropped 20% or something like that. Basically, everyone's saying the same thing about every Ubisoft game is that wait for it to be on Christmas for $10. But to remind ourselves of some of the interesting things that we've been through in gaming this year, other than Black Myth Wukong and Astrobot, which have taken up the last month of our lives, Elden Ring DLC was basically so good that people called it its own game, and now there's discussions on the internet, which is crazy, Josh, about how people are debating whether or not to include the DLC in the Game of the Year category.
Wow,
because it's that big. And then
I think it has to be. I think it's been that big of a.
If it redefines what a DLC is, then I could see why. But where do you draw the line in terms of like size and scope and stuff? And then, of course, a couple of the other big hitters this year were Pal World and Helldivers.
Yeah.
So
when you talk to me about that, and then how big again college football was, like that was the whole like take a day off. And I think the other thing is with how intuitive college football was, it brought in Team Builder to Madden for the first time ever, but also how lackluster Madden and 2K were again. And just people like not being excited. Like I was hearing the same things about what 2K and what Madden are this year. Just like no excitement. And then you look at everything Nintendo's, the Switch is coming to its end, but you wouldn't know it because this Mario and Luigi game, you have the Zelda game. Is this Metroid game going to be on the Switch or the next system? We don't know. I mean, it's September 12th. Are we getting the announcement for Switch 2? Who knows?
I don't think that they would shoot themselves in the foot and announce a new console for next year when the Christmas season is right around the corner.
Yeah, like if you're going to do it, you got to do it like in the next 2 weeks.
And then you got to say like it's ready for shipping in December, which, man, if they kept that a secret and we didn't see any hardware leaks or any kind of like, you know what the funny thing about technology kind of leaks and stuff like that is you don't get a lot of leaks per se from like the actual devices or like people holding on to things. You get leaks from like the people who make the cases and the peripherals and stuff like that, right? So we haven't seen any like, oh, this is the new case for the new Switch, like we see with the new iPhones all the time. We haven't heard anything. We've heard bupkis. So that leads me to believe that it's not coming. It's not being announced until next year. Like there's just no way. And then I almost imagine like Nintendo's going to do like, here's a price drop for the Switch Lite for Christmas or something. Like here's $25, $50 off, and it's like just buy it now, take it with you on the road, and then the Switch 2, whatever it's called, is coming.
You've heard the GTA rumors too, right?
It's 2026 now, right?
Yeah, and for PC, it's 2028. So obviously, some of them are not very happy right now.
That's when the media hype is that big. it's almost like you're never gonna you can't make anybody happy basically ever. So what's the point?
No.
I won't jump into the media hype for Grand Theft Auto. I'm really excited if it's good. I don't really care either way. I know it'll be a bajillion-dollar franchise, not even a billion, a bajillion. But I'm just kind of like, it'll be like Game of Thrones. Like I'll watch some stuff on YouTube. I'll kind of see some people playing it here and there, but like I probably won't invest in it. You're muted. Sorry.
You and I are more Red Dead people than GTA people, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, it was so easy to get into Red Dead Redemption 1 when it came out, right? It was like a standalone. This is the first cowboy game in a really long time, and it really kicked ass. So Grand Theft Auto was kind of like, you know how we talked about like how there's certain kinds of bros play, or certain type of bros watch like Deadpool. A certain type of bro plays like Grand Theft Auto to me.
Yeah. You and I have never played it ever before, so
I dabbled.
All
but,
right.
like, I played on my cousin's computer, but like it didn't really grab me.
And then as far as TV goes, I mean, I think it's been it's been Shogun. We're going to talk more about TV when we talk about the Emmys and everything like that. I think the state of gaming, though, you have convinced me that it's been a very good gaming year. And I think the GTA side was something that was kind of like hovering over that was going to happen the next year. And we're kind of just waiting. I think everyone was waiting for that, but there's so many more exciting things. I mean, we got the PS Pro this week as well, but everyone is
it
like,
looks so good.
It looks so good, but it's also just the same.
Yeah, can you tell the difference between these two screenshots? No, I can't.
Corporate says they're the same.
Yeah, exactly, right. No, the corporate says they're different, but
corporate says they're different. They're the same picture.
What's crazy about that, just to touch on that for a brief second.
You know what's even crazier? By God Almighty. That's Adam Diesel Powers music.
What a handsome man.
Dun, dun, dun.
Finish your point quick there, Dev, and then we'll talk to Adam about CiFF.
Okay, so the media train about the PS Pro's been crazy. GameSpot has been buying PlayStations for as high as $400 in anticipation, which of course by the time you go sell your console to be like $250 and a kick in the nuts probably. But because the PS Pro does not have a disc drives are selling out all over the place so that people can scalp them in anticipation for the PS Pro.
Oh my goodness.
I rest my case. That's all I got. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, I'm good with my PS. It's been nothing but nice to me so far, so I'm good. But I mean, the Pro, I'm sure it's nice. I mean, I just think if you're going to go to that next level, then maybe just become a PC gamer. If you're just going to be that concerned about always wanting to get the upgrade.
There you go. I don't think I've played a single PS5 exclusive game yet, other than Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, because God of War was on PS4, right?
Well, even all the big hitters, basically, except for Astrobot and I think Black.
And guess what? There's more.
Whoa, twinsies!
Whoa. Twinsies. I'm already on my second PS4 because my first one crapped out, so I'm not buying a PS4 Pro or PS5. Whatever.
So let me kind of do a quick introduction here as we kind of continue on with the pod here. From the Calgary film side of things, it's the one and only Adam Diesel Powers is here to talk to us about CiFF. And from being annoyed and probably bored of what was supposed to be a good Thursday night football game, it's the new classic, Nick.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, all I needed was a half, and I'm in with you guys.
Yeah,
I thought you said from being annoying.
No, from being annoyed because this football game was supposed to be a lot closer. And
I thought Nick was annoying. Not. Okay,
I'm annoying.
I mean,
that's what I thought he's going with.
No. So I think we touched on all our stuff, but what Devin and I were debating about was what was this more of a movie year, TV year, or gaming year? We didn't talk about music, which I'd like to talk about, Devin, a bit here. But I think we were trying to say it has been a really good gaming year. For movies, it's been okay. Adam, since you are a movie expert, has this been a good movie year or has this been a mediocre movie year?
It's been a pretty good movie year, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of, I mean, we had the like early summer where people were like panicking, being like, we're never going to have $1 billion movie. But there's so many great movies that came out this year and so many to come. And we've already had now $2 billion movies.
Yeah.
So, and TV sucks.
And one of the $1 billion
TV sucks right now. There's nothing.
Except for Shogun.
I didn't even watch it.
Shogun is one of Shogun was good.
I didn't even watch it. Maybe one day I'll get to it. But movies are where it's at this year.
Yeah, I mean, one of the $1 billion movies is really good. The other one is fine.
I saw one of them and it was fine. So I don't know what the other one is.
Inside Out, which was great.
It was okay.
And Deadpool, which is sure. It was a good time. As Devin and I said, there's a certain type of person that really, really likes Deadpool.
And they're all 13 years old.
Before we get into the Buffalo Bills getting another interception and a touchdown, talk to us about CiFF. And I guess I want to talk to you about what you do have, but the biggest buzz that we're getting this past week for a movie is the Saturday Night Live movie. And I don't want to just talk about, why didn't you get this? Why didn't you get that? But that one seems to start getting a lot of legs as far as award season and notoriety. Were you guys ever close with getting that movie at CiFF?
I mean, we try to get all the movies at CiFF, like anything that's going to be big and buzzy and fun. We try to get them, but a lot of them are studio films, and studio films don't come to the mid-tier festivals usually. Mm-hmm. They don't see value in it, which I think is weird because we bring a big audience to it. Like a film like that is strange because they would maybe refuse to play at CiFF, but then just come to Cineplex Chinook and like 20 people go see it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fizzles out where like we would have sold out a couple houses with it. So I always struggle with that a little bit. But I mean, a film festival is also about finding films that are not necessarily going to be out in theaters and like super widely available. TIFF is a very different breed of film festival. It's about celebrities. It's about the premieres. It's about that. But we were in conversation with some of these bigger titles that we were trying to get. And a few of them fell through the cracks. A few of them came through and fell through the cracks again and came through and fell through the cracks. And now we have The Apprentice, which is awesome. Yeah. So stuff like that, where we're trying to get these big films from Cannes and from the big festivals. And then it's just a lot of hoops to jump through to get there, whether it's legal issues between the actual producers of the film, like on The Apprentice, or other things. But yeah, no one on Saturday Night Live, unfortunately. But I'm sure you can see it somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I just said, it seems to have gotten a lot of buzz this week. And I'm just excited. And I know, Devin, I know you're not a Succession fan, but Cousin Greg's in it. And he plays both Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson in it. So I'm excited for that side of things. But let's talk about what stuff that is at CiFF. CiFF, by the way, is starting on the 19th, and we roll into the 29th. Adam obviously works
technically the 18th this year.
Technically the 18th, okay.
Because we got this bonus night.
Yeah. Okay, talk to me about the bonus night.
It's already sold out, so you can't go.
That's fine.
But it's the Tragically Hip No Dress Rehearsal.
I was going to say that seems like a big one.
It's a 4-episode Amazon Prime documentary, so it's sold out already. We have some of the managers of the band. Mike Downey, who's Gord's brother, obviously, directed it, and so he's going to be there. So we've got lots of people in town for it. It is 4 hours long, so sitting in the cinema for 4 hours is going to be intense. But it's really
for
good.
Avatar.
It's really good. It's like, I'm not even a Tragically Hip fan. I was like, I know of their songs, and I was probably a little too young to be like a true like in the heyday of them. Yeah. But it's a really good documentary, and because it's done by his brother, he has so much access to people and footage and content, and they put together a really good 3-episode of like what the band is, why they're important, why they're so amazing, and all this stuff. And then the 4th episode is just like, you're just in tears the entire time. It's just like, it's sad, but it's beautiful. It's really good.
So what are some of the films you're most excited or suggest for people to see?
I mean, there's so many. We've got The Apprentice. I haven't seen it. I guess nobody's really seen it outside of TIFF, except the people that saw the secret screening they did at TIFF recently.
Heard some buzz for Jeremy Strawn in that is playing.
And Sebastian Stan. We've actually got a Stan Fest 2024 going on.
Oh, nice.
At CiFF. Like, we've got The Apprentice, I'm super excited for. And then one called A Different Man with Sebastian Stan also. That's an A24 one that it played at Sundance earlier this year, and now it's kind of coming out. I don't know if there'll be award buzz for it, but it seems really cool, really interesting. It's about this famous actor named Adam Pearson, who has like a facial like deformity. He plays basically himself in this film, and there's this crazy procedure you can get that he can like clear it up. And so he goes to this place and they clear it up and he turns into Sebastian Stan. And then Sebastian Stan is like this hunky guy and everybody loves him. And it's like, you're so great. Look at you. But when he goes out in public, he starts seeing his old self, like in public, in different places. And then people are with him are like, oh, do you know that guy? It's like, no, not really. And it's like, that guy's the greatest. Like, he might look a little bit weird, but he's the like greatest human being on the planet. And so he's now like struggling with this like self-identity thing. So double Sebastian Stan. If you're a Sebastian Stan, come to CiFF.
Perfect. What else we got in deck?
We got two. I mean, probably the, I don't want to say the best film because I have two favorite films of the year from CiFF this year, but one of the two for sure is going to be up for Oscars. And I'd be surprised if it's not up for Best Picture, not up for Best Director, and probably one of the front runners for Best Actress is Anora. Mm-hmm. Anora is amazing. It's just like, it's so hard to pinpoint what genre this is because it's like a very serious class struggle drama, but inside of it is almost a Three Stooges slapstick comedy. It's like hilarious. Like it's sort of a Pretty Woman-esque like rise to like wealth, where this young stripper has a job working for the son of a Russian billionaire who's in America, and then they have a weekend together where he pays for her services, and then they decide to get married so he can stay in the country. And then once they get married, the Russian parents find out and they send these guys after them to kind of see what happened here and try to like basically get rid of this marriage because you can't have this. And that's when it kind of turns into a bit of like an Uncut Gems anxiety roller coaster.
Oh, so it's right up your area then.
But it's funny, and it's not like it's intense, but it's not like anxiety ridden. But it's just like hilarious. Like it's slapstick, it's funny. And the whole film is just like really like we saw it in a cinema and everybody was laughing, basically laughing until you're not laughing.
Right.
And then there's a pretty big gut punch at the end.
Well, it is listed. Variety did their early preview of what they think that the best picture would be, and they have Anora, Blitz, A Complete Unknown, Inside Out, Dune, Emily Perez, Gladiator, The Piano Lesson, The Room Next Door, and Saturday Night are the early front runners for best picture nominations for them.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, like Mikey Madison is going to be a star after this. This is like a huge star-making performance. It's the first time an American film won Cannes, the Palme d'Or at Cannes in whenever Tree of Life was, 2013 maybe, 2011.
Was the last time Pulp Fiction won? Pulp Fiction
no, there were a few in that time, but like 2011 maybe was Tree of Life, and that was the last.
You guys normally get the Palme d'Or, hey?
Yeah, we've had it at least since I've been there. We've had it for 5 years, 6 years now. Like we had Parasite, and that went on to win the Oscar. We had Anatomy the fall last year, Triangle of Sadness. So keeping that streak going. But this time, now that it's an American film, that gives it a lot more legs when it comes Oscar season to be involved in a lot more of the awards, I think. So,
and for those people that are interested going, it's a different scenario where the screenings are going to be this year, right?
Yeah, we're in a crap ton of venues now.
Yeah, that's
because
awesome.
Eau Claire got torn down for the Green Line. That's no longer the Green Line. Rest in peace, Eau Claire, which was our home for many years. We're now going to be at the Globe, which we've always been at. We're going to be at the Plaza in Kensington, which is coming back to that. We haven't been there for
Plaza's
6 or
awesome.
7 years, 7 years, 8 years. I'm excited to be there. We're back at Contemporary Calgary, which is like the old Science Center. Now is like an art gallery. They have 2 cinemas in there. And then we're going to be at Chinook Center. So super excited to be. It's been a tough balance of being like, now we're not a downtown festival anymore, which kind of sucks. But then you're kind of spreading out to the suburbs a bit to get people who are like, live, because Calgary is such a widespread city. You're getting people that live on the outskirts of the city that might come in and go to Chinook and check out a movie. So super excited to be at Chinook and have a bunch of cinemas there. Yeah.
So like, what's the plan? What came, because obviously this is the big overtaking here when you just had everything Eau Claire. Kind of what went into the planning for everything?
Yeah, it's way different. It's you kind of it's going to be weird for us as staff, like as programmers. You kind of get like every day you'll be at a different place. Usually it's like we have our hub, it's Eau Claire. You live there for the week. You're like meeting filmmakers, taking them to movies, doing introductions, running around. But now it's like, I'm going to be at Plaza on this day, and that's like my home. And then the next day I'm at Chinook, and that's my home. And the next day is Globe. So that kind of planning is really intense. Having to set up box offices at all these different locations, more volunteers needed. It's a totally different ballgame when it comes to this. And this isn't crazy. Like a lot of festivals are like this, where because they have so many screens, they have a multi-venue festival. So we do have some stuff to play off of in sort of the festival world, but it is still new for us.
Nick or Dev, you guys got any extra questions?
Man, I'm just on the website right now, just looking up all the different films, and what I appreciated, Adam, was your ability. Like, I love your synopsis because you know exactly how to hook people.
That's my job. I've seen.
I know it is.
I'm going to say this as a tout to myself and a new record. I've seen almost every film of the festival this year before the festival. We have 106 features, and I've seen 85 of them. So I'm pretty dialed in on the lineup, and I've seen all the short films because that's my bread and butter. But I'm pretty dialed in on the lineup this year. And I'm like super excited with everything that everybody programmed, and I think we have an awesome lineup of cool films. Like back to what you were talking about before, in the video game world, there's this film called Grand Theft Hamlet that I absolutely love. It's a documentary. It's 2 British actors during the pandemic who are just playing GTA online and just like fucking around. And they come across I can't remember what it's called in the game, but it's the Hollywood Rose Bowl is in the game. Not the Rose Bowl,
like a stadium of some kind.
Yeah, isn't it the Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like the outdoor amphitheater.
Oh, like the LA Coliseum?
I don't know. Whatever it is. In the game, they like stumble upon this playing the game, and they're like, wouldn't it be weird if we like staged a play in the game here? And so they kind of just like fuck around, and the guy walks up onto the stage and he's like reciting some Shakespeare, and they're just like playing around, and then these cops show up and they just shoot them and they all die. And they're like, wouldn't it be funny if we staged an actual full-on Hamlet play in the game? And so they go about trying to find people to come and audition, people to come and check it out. They live stream it on Twitch, and the whole film is shot in the game. So you never see any real people. The one actor's partner is a filmmaker, and so she gets like an account, makes a character, and in the game, you can use your cell phone. You can like take pictures. You can like zoom, and you can like do crazy shit with it. So it's basically like having a camera. And so she uses that as a camera to kind of like be a director in the game and making this film. Like it's very meta, it's very weird, but it's super funny. And like they get people to join their team who are like security. Like if they're doing their Hamlet stuff, they're doing their monologues and stuff, and somebody shows up and just wants to start shooting everyone, somebody's got to like hold them off. So there's like these really funny encounters, and it's really great. Yeah.
Some of the things that kind of stick out to me, one was a short film, Camping. Looks the animation in there really caught my eye. And obviously Dark Match. I'm assuming you figured that would catch my eye as well.
Yeah, Camping is a great locally made short film. It's in the Alberta Spirit Shorts package. And it's about the treatment of unhoused individuals in the city and their opportunities or non-opportunities to be able to camp in places.
And then
Dark Match is great. Dark Match it's also a locally made film. It was shot all up in Edmonton. Amazing. And it's kind of like, I think it must be kind of based off, what's that tour called? Is it like the Northern Tour? What do they call that? The Death Tour?
Okay, yeah.
They just had a doc about it this year, the Death Tour, where like the wrestlers go way up north and they do that tour. Oh
yeah, Edge and Christian used to talk about that, going over the ice with Rhino.
Yeah. So it's basically this group of like indie wrestlers who aren't really making it. They're just like they're making it by doing shows, and the promoter is like, "Hey, we got this gig. It's like way up north somewhere rural, but it pays really well. Come up for the weekend." So everybody gets in a bus, goes up there. They get to this place, and they're like, "Where's the hotel?" And it's like, "We don't have a hotel. Here's the cabin." And it's like, okay, this is weird already. And then it's kind of like a weird culty town, and everybody's strange, and everybody is in everyone's business. And then Chris Jericho is kind of like the head of this town. Amazing. And kind of the head of this, like.
Oh, is this the one that Mo Jabari did with him?
Mo is a main star in this movie.
Okay, now I gotta see this.
Yeah, Kid Chocolate is one of the guys who goes up. He's one of the wrestlers. He's in a mask the whole time. He's in full luchador mask. But yeah, so they go up there, and it's kind of like something's happening that's really weird. And Jericho is like this cult leader who's kind of like running this town. And I won't say more, but it's really funny. It's really campy,
and then obviously there's another one that hit really close to me personally with my career, Dreamcaster.
Yeah,
really hit close. I'm really excited to see that, and then suggested to some students to watch as well. But that sounds really cool.
Dreamcaster is a short.
The shorts really attracted me this year. There's a lot of shorts that I'm really interested in.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones. That's in the Fall in Line shorts package, which is like it's all themed around outsider experiences. So that one is about an individual who is blind, and I believe he was born blind, but always had a love for basketball and always had a love for the broadcasters who call the game. And due to his impairment, he could never be a broadcaster, right? Like there's no way you could do that. But some tech company has come up with this like amazing technology in collaboration with the NBA and NBC to get someone who has vision impairment to be able to call a game. And so basically there's already mics on the floor, like that already exists in the NBA. So you can like triangulate sounds, right? And so he goes into this like booth where there's like speakers all around. He can hear what's happening basically as if he's like in the middle of the court. He has this vest on that is set to vibrate on different things. So like if it's a 2-pointer on this side of the court, it does like a double vibrate here. If it's a 3-pointer on this side of the court, there's like a triple vibrate here. And he can like tell who the players are. I don't know how that works. And he's got like a Braille Bible like in front of him. And he kind of looks like a DJ, and he just has this whole setup where he has all of the stats, all the players, everything at his fingertips. And he can just like call a game just by sounds, by feeling, and everything. And he called, I think it was last season, he called an NBA Finals game live.
Wow.
And
awesome.
It's pretty amazing. I think this one is getting some pretty big buzz. I think it's going to get a push for potentially an Oscar nomination too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Before I kind of move on to get out of here on this stuff, Nick, or do you have any other questions?
I asked my question. I feel like Nick's been so patient.
No, it's all good. I'm just kind of scrolling through, and there's two that really caught my eye. This Gutter movie looks amazing. It's gotta be.
Gutter is fucking insane.
Amazing.
Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes, you can swear.
The Gutter. I saw the Gutter at South by Southwest. And it is. So it's like Hood Kingpin.
Amazing.
So it's like a stoner hood comedy that's so bad. Like so cheesy, so lowbrow, so bad, but understands what it is, that it's like an absolute blast to see it in a cinema with probably a couple beers or something else. It's like Shamik Moore is the star in it, who you might know from Spider-Verse, among other things. But he's like a guy, like a shitty dude who just takes his shirt off all the time for no reason. And his mom is like, you got to get a job. So he goes to this bowling alley and he's like, can I get this job? And they're like, fine, you can be a attendant or whatever. And so he goes out and he's never bowled before. And he like grabs the ball and like chucks it kind of like a shot put and then walks away and it like hits strikes. And then he like grabs another one. He like throws it sideways. It's like strikes. And this woman who's at the bar, who's just like drunk all the time, sees this and is like, you're amazing. Can I like coach you and you can be on the tour? Yes. And so immediately he joins the tour and he gets 3 sponsors and he gets sponsored by, I think it's like Spicy Hot Milk. It's like one of the sponsors. The other one is Cash for Guns for Chains or something, like a pawn shop. And then the last one is Pornhub. And so he's just got Pornhub stickers all over him every time he goes. It's super funny. Susan Sarandon is in it. Paul Reiser is in it. It's crazy. Like it's so lowbrow and like so dumb, I want to say, like but like intentional and hilarious. Yeah, like it's so good.
Okay, good. Now I'm amped up. I gotta go.
Yeah, the Gutter is awesome.
Wow, he really sold it. I mean, and plus, like when you look at like the banner image of it, he looks like he's dressed like 50 Cent.
yeah, that's the whole thing. So that the directors were at South by Southwest, and they said when they were looking for sponsorships, they were like, "All right, this guy needs to be sponsored by stuff." And so they were like, first one is like Flaming Hot Cheetos, obviously. And they go to it and they were like, absolutely not. Like they're just like, we're not giving our stuff to this. What was the other one? They wanted to be sponsored by TJ Maxx. I thought that would be funny. And that was like, also they immediately replied and were like, absolutely not. And then they go to Pornhub and they're like, hey, can we use this in the film? And they come back and they're like, whatever you want, we'll give, like, you can use it wherever you want, do whatever you want with it. Like, it's hilarious. So yeah, super great.
Was there another one that you were looking at, Nick?
I mean, I'm going to go see the death metal one, this Heavier Trip. I got to go check that one out.
Yeah, it's like a
Norwegian death metal one.
It's a pseudo sequel. Do you ever see Heavy Trip?
No.
So there's a film called Heavy Trip from like 2017, I want to say, 2016. Similar group of people. They're not calling it a sequel because it's not quite, but it's definitely
like spiritual.
Definitely feels sequel, even more than spiritual. But it's about this death metal group who are in prison. They start out in prison for whatever reason, and they are the heaviest metal group of all. They're so metal. It's Metalocalypse, right? And this guy reaches out to them, and he's like, from the Wacken metal festival in Germany, Austria, Germany.
Yeah, Germany.
And he's like, you're the hardest band in the world. We need you to come and play in Wacken. And they're like, no, Wacken is weak. That's like below us. That's like pussy metal. So they're like, no. And then something happens to one of their parents' farms, and something. So they're like, we have to break out of jail. So they break out of prison to go and like help the family, but then they also get sort of sidetracked going to this Vakken festival and playing. It's super funny. It's really silly.
There's this other movie. It seems like a really good indie hit called a Goofy movie.
I don't know if you've heard about it. You know, there was an episode of Atlanta that talked about it, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a special block party on the first Saturday. It's free. It's outside. It's in Kensington. And we're showing 3 films, all from it's our 25th anniversary. So we're looking at films from 99. And so we've got Office Space playing in the afternoon, which we're super excited about. Blair Witch Project playing in the evening. Other short films and bands are playing in between. But the first thing of the day is the screening of a Goofy movie. And not only a screening of the Goofy movie, but the guy who does the voice for Max Goof is Jason Marsden, no relation to James Marsden, who's a famous voice actor. He did the voice, and he's coming to the festival to do a voice acting workshop.
Cool.
He's going to be on our jury, and he's going to be presenting a Goofy movie.
Wow.
Nice. Super excited to have him
cool.
come to Calgary for it and to show a Goofy movie. And I was hoping that Donald Glover was going to be in town at that time, but he can't his tour in Calgary, so a little sad about that.
That would have been amazing if you could have got him.
But Lakeith Stanfield is in town, and maybe he can come too. We actually have a documentary called Ernest Cole Lost and Found. It's about a photographer, a Black photographer who was pretty prolific shooting in New York and other places throughout his career, but underappreciated, I guess. So this documentary is about all of his artwork that he created over the years, and it's narrated by Lakeith Stanfield. Nice. So weird connection. Maybe he'll take a break from this Lynn Ramsey movie that he's shooting.
He's in that movie with J Law, right?
Yeah. And Robert Pattinson and Nick Nolte.
I know. Sissy Spacek too, I think.
Sissy Spacek, yeah. They're all in town right now. Yeah.
All right. Any last thing you want to bring up about CiFF before we move on, Adam?
Oh man, there's so much to talk about. We have over 200 films, 100 feature films, 100 short films in the festival, 200 screenings. I'll talk about the closing night film quickly.
Before you go to that, I just wanted to bring another short. You have Maybe Elephants was another one on my list that looks really, really good. The shorts, I don't know what attracted me to them this year, but the shorts really are all look excellent this year.
It's the attention span.
Yeah.
Could be. Attention span.
Could be.
Well, like, what's 10 to 20 minutes? Maybe Elephants is NFB, so it's National Film Board of Canada. Always a stamp of quality when it comes to short films and feature films.
I just like the animation style from some of these too. I've been reading a lot more comics again, so certain animation styles are starting to reach out to me maybe right now. I don't know.
Yeah, Maybe Elephants is a bit of a tale from the director's standpoint about her family kind of uprooting them and moving to Africa as kids to go live and help the people in Africa. But she's a filmmaker. Her name's Toril Cove. She actually won the Oscar for Best Animated Short Film for The Danish Poet a few years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago. And it's really funny. It's really heartfelt. It's in a package called Enter the Circus, which is all of our animated films. And it's really good. I'm really excited. And I hope that one might get some love come Oscar season as well.
Nice.
Now, all the short packages have interesting titles. And there's a theme between all of them.
One of them is
called Enter the Circus. One of them is called Fall in Line. One of them is called Nobody Wants to Be Lonely. And one of them is called Dirty with 2 R's.
Amazing.
One of them is called What a Girl Wants. Anybody jump in?
I'm starting to see it now.
What do you think? Jump in.
Is it pop star albums?
Christina Aguilera stuff.
Like hit songs.
It's all Christina Aguilera songs.
Yeah.
We went with because it's the 25th anniversary. We're doing like a Y2K theme. So we're looking at pop stars, and we actually have a documentary called Linda Perry Die With Me, I think it's called. And it's an amazing documentary about Linda Perry. If you don't know who she is or don't know much about her, she's an amazing artist, amazing woman. But she worked a lot with Christina Aguilera. So Christina Aguilera is in the documentary a lot, and that kind of tipped it over to name all the shorts packages after her songs.
Nice. Okay, so CiFF happens here on the 19th, 29th. As it goes on, I know Adam will be busy, but we'll be down around the festival, try to maybe interview Adam and talk to a few other people as everything's going on. Since I did have you on here, Adam, we had a juggernaut pass away in the entertainment world this week, in James Earl Jones passing away at 93 years old. One of the key voices and actors of a generation. He's CNN, obviously. He was Vader. He was Mufasa. He was King Joffrey. There's so many other things. So just kind of wanted to do a circle here of kind of your thoughts on James Earl Jones, some of your favorite memories from watching him on stage, if you ever got to see him on stage, on film, or doing voiceover. I'll start with you, Nick.
I mean, obviously the big ones, Vader, when you hear that voice, but he was just around forever. And it was like movies, like he just kind of pops up. He used to like just pop up in movies that you just forgot about. Like the original, like Conan, I watched that like last year.
Yeah.
He's like, right. It's like, holy shit, that's James Earl Jones. And, like in movies like Field of Dreams, I'm a big baseball guy, and I love that movie and he's in that, but it's like so many, like he's known for like there are many roles, but then there's other roles he's not so known for, but he was amazing. He was just so versatile. And like, you go from The Lion King to Conan and Field of Dreams and Darth Vader. It's just, there's just so much.
What about you, Adam?
Yeah, everything Nick said. I went to see Beetlejuice this weekend, and I think that was before he passed away, like earlier this week, right?
Yeah,
it was before. And so they had the trailer for Mufasa, and we were talking about it. Like, it's kind of weird to think like how different the voice is in that, and then you think about like what the original voice is, and it's like what happened to Mufasa from like this prequel to that his voice shifted so much. So we were talking about that a lot over the weekend, and then this happened. So it was pretty dramatic to like put those things together. All the things that Nick said, like he's just an iconic voice actor, but also just an iconic like face.
Yeah,
iconic image. He was amazing at what he did. So
yeah, I mean, for me, like him being King Joffrey was huge. The line of "I tied my shoes once." It was an overrated experience. He was so good at being kind of the straight man in Coming to America so perfectly with Eddie Murphy in that. Obviously, you mentioned Field of Dreams, which he's absolutely iconic for that. And then, being Vader, which I don't want to get into a list of iconic villains at any point, but obviously Vader and that voice has generated for years to come of being maybe the most iconic villain, one of the most iconic villains. And then it's interesting now, and I think as kids we weren't going to realize this, but you now see how many iconic lines as Mufasa had that really hit on life after death and the impact of how that all hits. And there's just been so many lines people have shared from Lion King that really hit now that he has passed. Dev?
What can I say that hasn't been said before, other than we're missing his first role in Doctor Strangelove?
Wow, he was in Strangelove.
Was that his first role?
He's like one of the soldiers. I had to look it up. I just looked up his filmography just to see if there's any hitters that you guys didn't mention. But an actor whose presence was always felt, even if we didn't appreciate him, probably.
Yeah.
That's probably how I would describe it. Like it was always a treat to be around. Always a treat when he was in things. And of course, like, as you mentioned, like, man, like when he went for some roles, like he had some very, 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 very big roles. So his presence will be missed, but his presence will live on as the voice of Vader, as AI becomes a thing. So I don't know what that paycheck was, but like, man, I'm really interested to see what will happen in the future. So
yeah. All right, 2 last things to get here. So Adam and Nick, if you want to stay around for them, you're more than welcome to. I wanted to talk about music in the VMAs from last night and then to preview the Emmys. So if you guys want to stay around for that, you're more than welcome. If you wanted to dip out and not talk about it, I get it too.
wait, are you okay? First of all, the VMAs, like, were you the only one who watched? Like, I saw some pictures.
I just
saw
highlights. I don't need to talk that as much as just kind of this year so far in music overall. And then
I read it was the most watched VMAs in like a decade or something.
Yeah, it got 5 million views,
which is insane. Like, was there nothing else on? Like, are people that starved for entertainment?
People didn't want to watch AEW last night, Adam.
I have a feeling.
Okay, so
I mean, the 5 people that were going to watch AEW didn't watch AEW are not amounting to the.
And AEW did the highest rating it's done in like 6 weeks. I think a part of it was, I think music is kind of neat. Me and Nick talked about this watching football this week. Music right now feels like it's a little bit on an uptick again. It feels like some artists, Devin and I talked about this last week, you know, especially the female side with Chanel, with Sabrina. It does feel like there's some artists that are hitting a lot bigger right now. And I think people wanted to see Chanel perform. They wanted to see Sabrina perform. Then they wanted to see these other iconic performances. It did feel like for the first time in a while that the VMAs actually meant something. I mean, when we were kids, the VMAs meant everything, right? Like we would, you know, make sure that we watched it and it was really important. And for the first time in the 10 years, I didn't watch it, but there was a point I'm like, do I have MTV? Do I have a way to watch these? Because I would maybe tune in. I didn't, so I just kind of followed along, seeing things on social. But I'll go to you kind of on this, Nick, because you and I kind of talked about it. It does feel that this year has been a good music year because there's interest for certain artists more than there has been.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like pop music. I think it's actually kind of good again. It's not just like, you know, the same old shit you get all the time. It's like, you know, like you said, Sabrina's coming out with some good stuff. And, you know, like, you know, my girl Dua Lipa, you know, is coming out. So it's like pop music is coming back hard, you know, like it was when it was the Christina Britney era, you know, throwing a little Katy Perry, and then it just kind of like went soft. Right. And now we're kind of hitting that stride again. And I'm not surprised that this is the most watched VMAs in a decade. Just with the performances, with who performed, with what songs got performed. You know, I did see the clip of the Eminem, which was kind of funny, the little throwback to, you know, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, you know. So I mean, I'm happy for it. I hope it does continue. I'd like to see MTV become a thing again, you know, the VMAs become an actual like event. Like you said, like it was when we grew up. It's like we all watched it. You had to kind of tune in and see what was going on. But you know, and you're right. I think it just kind of went away for a long time, and now I hope it's back.
Dev, do you see that countering to the Grammys now next year? Like, because the Grammys have kind of been the same way. It's not like as many people are watching the Grammys as much, but with some of the artists that are going to be around for the Grammys this year, do you think that'll bring a lot more attention to the Grammys as well?
Well, you told me that 5 million people watched this friggin' awards show that basically was really popular for our generation, but not Gen Z, and then somehow mobilized Gen Z because, as Nick mentioned, like pop is in this complete new stratosphere with the whole female artist empowerment era that we're in. It's just like everyone you mentioned. Well, it's Brat Summer,
too,
the Brat Summer, or if you're Demure, but everyone has kind of their favorite, as you mentioned. Yeah, right.
And now the meme
like,
is dead.
Whether you're like a Sabrina Carpenter fan or an Grande fan or whatever, everyone has their favorite now. But they encapsulate such different things. It's like the Golden Globes and the Oscars, right? Like the VMAs, I think, are kind of seen as a bit of a party. It's definitely a younger demographic because like the Grammys awards, like spoken word album and spoken song and adult contemporary that gets won by friggin' Nora Jones and Robert Plant and Alison Krauss every year. Like there's really no relevance to Grammys unless you're talking about maybe the 3 big awards, or if your favorite artist, which was for a time like Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kanye, Taylor Swift, won 8 of them. Like I can't remember the last time I've gone on YouTube or any kind of interview with any kind of artist, and you hear someone say like Beyonce is a 32-time Grammy Award winner, it's just so irrelevant now to people's lives, because when you think about it, what do people care about? Followers, influencing, brands, exposure, and social media clout, right? So I'm probably closer to knowing how many followers Beyonce has on Instagram than I am with how many Grammys she's won.
Yeah, and that kind of go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I got a question. So back in our day, it was, the VMAs, and then we kind of found the Grammys kind of soft, right? And then all of a sudden there was artists that we kind of liked, like you said, like Jay-Z and Beyonce and Kanye. And then we stopped kind of watching the VMAs, right? And then that's maybe where that decade, that 15 years, and all of a sudden maybe we're seeing that shift again, where it's like, we're not caring about the Grammys so much anymore, and the VMAs come back up because that's just what pop culture is right now.
Well, it's probably also having to do. Go ahead,
Let Adam go quick.
I was just gonna say, is it also just like our age? Like our parents were watching the Grammys when we were kids, and we were like, "That's lame," and we're like, "We watch the VMAs, but that's the cool shit." Right? And then now, like, we kind of transitioned out of that, and now what we like is now Grammy stuff. And then because Grammy tends to be, there's best new artist, but a lot of times it's established artists winning stuff, where VMAs is like the new kid on the block just like made a song and it wins a VMA because it's hot, right? But that's what like the youth are into. That's what I would have been into when I was a kid. I don't care about Norah Jones' 8th album.
Yes. Well, that's
care about when Lil Scrappy does a great song and then he wins a VMA or whatever, right?
So now I'm just my dad. Is that what we're getting?
That's what I was saying.
You're the Abe Simpson meme.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's take an example really quickly here. Like, it's not that the Grammys don't mean anything, but it's almost like they do not have a finger on the pulse of what is actually relevant to the people who are, targeted to that music. Hard rock or alternative rock album, the nominees are like the weirdest shit list every single year, and then somehow they always find a way to like throw like Ozzy Osbourne's like 39th album wins hard rock record of the year, when it's like so not even relevant to, I'll even pull like some bands like within the last like 10 years, like maybe even like Alexis on Fire, right? So the Grammys like are missing this weird bridge where some of these fringe or specialty categories need to be current and contemporary to bring in the people who like those. And then like, it's okay to give Michael Bublé's 15th Adult Contemporary Grammy. I don't give a shit. But at the same time, like, you got to get the rap album right. You got to get the hip hop album right. You got to get the heavy metal or alternative rock albums right before you can get before we can start having conversations of legitimacy of record of the year.
Absolutely. And I think, at least we're heading into a nicer direction now with music. I mean, I felt last week when the new songs came out on Apple Music last week, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of music here. Like, there was a lot. And I would say for the first time in a long time tonight, we're 8:50, so new music's going to drop on Apple here pretty fast, or Spotify, whatever platform you use, YouTube Music. It's like the first time in a while, I'm like, I'm actually excited to see what is the new music that drops tonight.
I've actually had it for a while because I still love Napster.
Oh, there you go. All right. The last thing is, I'm just going to go over this really quickly, is the Emmys are this week. They are hosted by the Levies. By the way, am I the only one that's still doing this murder in the building thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's actually been a better season this year, I will say.
I refuse.
I saw Steve Martin freaking out in a bathtub or something with no clothes on, and I was like, I'm done.
I haven't seen that happen yet.
No, that was in the season 3.
Oh, okay.
I got through. Yeah, I stuck through the Rappaport season 2, and then got 2 episodes into season 3. And I was like,
the Paul Rudd season.
Yeah, I'm done.
Well, for comedy series of 2024, we have Abbott Elementary, Curb, Hacks, Only Murderers in the Building, Palm Royale, Res Dogs, The Bear, and What We Do in the Shadows. Personally, for me, I have my 2 favorites in this. I would go with Hacks or What We Do in the Shadows, but The Bears probably going to win. Dev, what are you thinking?
Come on, bro. Like, the whole world already knows. Like, Shogun's winning everything they're nominated for. The Bears winning everything they're nominated for, and then it's just like left. It's scraps after that.
Pretty much.
It's true.
Well, here's the one that I want the most. There's only one award I really, really care about, and it's this one. Outstanding Lead Actor. And I'm going to pronounce this gentleman's name wrong, so forgive me. DeFero Wunata. Is that correct? So if I got that wrong, I apologize.
What's he nominated for?
Who is this? Who is
Res
this
Dogs.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, You're talking...
Is that Bear?
Yeah, that's Bear.
Jeremy Allen White, Morton Short, Steve Martin, Larry David, and then Matthew Berry. I just want Matthew Berry to win this because I want the speech so bad.
Well,
he's won a BAFTA. He's never won an Emmy.
He's absolutely not winning.
Well, what has he been in that's Emmy worthy until What We Do in the Shadows? Like, he's been such like an is a deep cut. Like
he's in deep cuts. Yeah,
from IT Crowd, he's gonna win. Like, of course not.
I mean, probably should have, but
from The Toast. Jeremy Allen White's more than likely gonna win this.
I bet, like, more than likely. Like, what do you want out of my personal possessions for me to bet that he's gonna win this?
Oh yeah, he's gonna win it. I mean, this is probably the last time Larry David will ever have a chance to win this. So maybe there's some sentiment for that side of things for Larry David.
But is he really acting?
No.
That's an angle.
And the last season of Curb was fine. It was
pretty good. It was the best one in the last 3 years.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that. I'll agree with that.
It was the best one since the Seinfeld one.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too. What was that, season 7?
Yeah.
No. Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. No. It can't be that many bad seasons.
Seinfeld was the last good one.
Oh, my God. There was the Michael J. Fox one. There was the Palestinian chicken.
Last year was
the Michael J. Fox
one.
Last
year was the James Ham.
No,
the Ham one.
Oh, the Ham.
John Hamm.
Oh, the John Hamm.
MAGA hat. Okay. Was that the MAGA hat one?
That was the MAGA hat one.
There's a lot of garbage seasons.
So much. Yeah.
Best Actress. We have Quinta Brunson for Abbott. We have Ao. We have Selena Gomez. We have Maya. We have Jean Smart, Kristen Wiig. I think this is a 2-person race between Jean Smart and Ao.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing Ao's going to win, but I think there's an outside chance Jean Smart can get it.
Didn't Jean win it last year?
No.
Ao won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm assuming, like you said, Bear is going to do most of it. We won't do the supporting, all respect, because we're running out of time for what we have today.
Maddie Matheson, come on down.
We do have for
not in it.
For outstanding guest actor, we already have a winner. John Barathol won.
Oh yeah, I'm fine with that.
Always.
Wasn't John Cena? John Cena wasn't nominated.
No, he wasn't. And best
that's next season, which is next.
And for guest actress, it was Jamie Lee Curtis. So you can already tell Bear's going to win everything.
We talked about this last week when the pod didn't record. We're in the post-Succession blight where it's just we're latching onto something. The Bears it until the next Succession comes and just sweeps things. We're in TV analytics where shows are going to win everything or they're going to win nothing.
This drama outside of 3 shows is the saddest drama category I think I've seen at the Emmys in years. When Adam was saying it was a good movie year, not a good TV year, this is kind of what Adam was talking about.
Was I right? Sounds like I was right.
These are the best TV shows of 2024/23 a little bit. 3 Body Problem, Fallout, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shogun, Slow Horses, The Crown, The Gilded Age, and The Morning Show.
Yeah, it's gross.
Sad.
I watched one of those and it was not good.
What was it?
Which one was that?
Slow Horses.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
No, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Does he Slow Horses?
Is that the Gary Oldman one?
That's the Gary Oldman one. I've heard that's good.
I kind of want to see it. I'm interested.
Morning Show
I'm sure if you talk to someone, they would tell you all of those are good, but none
Morning
of them
Show
are
is so bad.
You won't talk me into Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I'm not trying.
Fine.
I watched 3 of those. It's fine.
I watched
Fallout. Fallout's fine, but
It
it's
was
not
good
a
when
best.
Parker Posey showed up.
Yes.
And
I mean,
the guy
Shogun's
from Civil
gonna.
War. I get his name.
There's an outside chance the Crown could win it, but it's more than likely going to be Shogun. So,
no Olivia Colman, no The Crown.
No. And then we'll go to anthology series, Baby Reindeer, Fargo, Lessons of Chemistry, Ripley, and True Detective Night Court Country, which is one of my least favorite shows of the year. I freaking hated this season. Nick,
Fucking
you have a comment on it?
Yeah, ghosts. Let's bring ghosts into an actual detective, show. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. That shit. Get out of here. Fucking aliens and ghosts and shit. Get it out of here.
I think Ripley's probably
what did Ferris Bueller have to do with that with the case? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
Baby Reindeer's got a shot. It's the most talked about one of those.
That's gotta be it.
And then Best Television Movie nominations are The Quiz Lady.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I'm serious. That's
Do
it.
people still watch TV movies though? Like where is the line?
Well, it's streaming movies.
It was it just won. It won already. It was Quiz Lady was fine. Yeah.
They did.
You made us
they must
guess
have done it
already
in the
won.
tech. They must have done it in the Tech Awards.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Tech Awards, Eric Andre won an Emmy.
He did.
Which was like a huge, amazing moment in television.
Yeah.
He brought his mom to the ceremony. What did he win? It was like best unscripted host or something.
Best unscripted host, yeah.
But yeah, pretty awesome that he's been able to make this show for like close to a decade now.
Yep.
Like, how many seasons have there been of Eric Andre's show when it's like the weirdest fucking show that nobody has ever watched, but everybody's seen clips online? Like,
yeah, I don't think I've ever watched a full episode. No,
I love it, and I love that. I love it in those pieces too. Like, it's great. I just watched.
Have you watched the full show?
I watched his 20-minute Broadway thing recently that he did like live on Broadway. It was pretty funny.
So, Adam, how many episodes do you think there are, and how many seasons do you think there are?
I think there's 9 seasons, and there's probably like 8 episodes.
Less seasons.
Less? 6?
Less seasons. There's 6 seasons and 68 episodes.
Jesus. That's that Gilligan Island bullshit where it's only like fucking 3 seasons or something.
I mean, but they're super short. They're like him and Eric. Like they're like 11 minutes, right?
Okay.
They're super short episodes. And he can just hammer them out. I don't know how he gets guests for it. Like, how are people still accepting to go on this show?
Well, they remember Cena really wanted to do it bad, and then he messed. There's people that want to do on it, and then he has to mess with them in a different way because they expect it.
But then, how does he get the people that don't want to be on it and get messed with?
That's what I don't understand.
Like at this stage of it,
like John Hamm looks like he was on it. John Hamm had to know what was going to happen.
He didn't have to know what was going to happen, but he had to know what he was in for a bit.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I mean. Yeah,
like he had to be like, okay, I know I'm going to Eric's show.
Yeah,
what's going to happen?
Yeah,
like those people know.
Yeah,
LeVar Burton.
Was LeVar Burton on it once?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
LeVar Burton was on it once, and what's his name? He just passed away from The Wire and from John Wick.
Oh yeah, Daniels.
Lieutenant Daniels.
Lieutenant
his
Daniels.
name is Lieutenant Cedric Daniels.
Cedric Daniels.
Riddick.
I know his full name and title from The Wire, and I don't know his real name. Cedric Daniels. What did you say it was? I forgot already.
Lance Reddick.
Lance
Reddick. Yeah.
He was on a couple times as LeVar Burton. I don't know if you remember that. That's a really good bit where he comes out in like Roots shackles and the Star Trek visor.
Oh my god.
As LeVar Burton. Go look that up. It's pretty funny.
Okay. Sounds hilarious.
And then I guess the last thing on here to change from that subject, Blue Eye Samurai won for best animation over Bob's Burger, Scavenger's Reign, The Simpsons, which is still getting nominated apparently, and X-Men 97. Not mad because I haven't seen Blue Eye Samurai, Dev, but I've heard really good things about it. I don't know if you ever saw it yet.
I watched one and I was kind of turned off by like half of it being CGI. So I didn't think that really counted, but I've heard good things about it, so I have to give it another shot. But Scavengers Reigns on the Global TV app.
Oh,
So I'm going to do that this weekend.
There's some wild stuff on that app, and I'm going to tell you. You want the good Lifetime shit? Go get the Global TV app.
That's
Chief's Christmas Story.
That's my shit. That's
Is
like
all
all
the
the
Lifetime
good
shit.
That's
Is that an oxymoron?
Nope, that is the good
there's the
Lifetime
best.
shit.
Don't worry.
I think I've exhausted Tubi, so
you can never exhaust Tubi.
Oh,
you can never exhaust
Tubi's
Tubi.
good. You can scrape and scrape.
I watched Tubi today. I watched John Ford movie from the 30s called Young Mr. Lincoln.
Amazing.
It's fucking so boring.
Yeah, for sure.
But I watched the whole damn thing.
I watched fucking Hellboy 1 last night, and I'm gonna watch 2 tonight because it's fucking Hellboy.
Maybe I'll watch Benchwarmers with Rob Schneider. I know that's on there. Wow. David Spade.
Well, the Global app. Me and Nick need a Hallmark or Lifetime because we need to watch the Chiefs Love Christmas Story movie.
There it is. Of course, yes.
That's gonna be up for the Oscar, right, Adam? How did you guys not get that for CiFF?
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
There's a
you just
Hallmark
said a bunch
movie.
Of words. You just said a bunch of words that went through.
There's
my
a
head.
Hallmark movie about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce called The Chiefs Christmas Love Story.
Is it actually about? Was it actually both of them?
Yes. No, it's not actually them. It's actors.
Oh,
but they do have Travis Kelce's mom in the movie, and the head coach of the Chiefs is in the movie as well. Andy
Holy
Reid.
Shit, Andy Reid's in it.
Yeah.
Back to CiFF for a second. We have a movie called My Dead Friend Zoe, and it won a bunch of awards at South by Southwest. Nice. It stars Ed Harris and Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
And a few other people. What's her name? Natalie something. She was what's his name in Parks and Rec? Aziz's girlfriend at the end.
Oh, okay.
Natalie Morales. Sounds like a name. Right. Anyway, she's in it. It's a great little comedy, like military PTSD drama comedy, executive produced by Travis Kelce.
Ooh.
Was the segue to that entire thing.
So you said Morgan Freeman and Ed Harris?
I said both those names.
Name their other movie they were in together.
I'm writing trivia this week.
Is that it?
There's 2 of them.
Oh, there's 2 movies?
There's 2. There's one
There's
one I never heard of. There's one I never heard of.
Ashley Judd one?
No, it's a Affleck production.
Yeah. There's one that you would know, and there's one you don't know.
Nope. I didn't know the other one. That's interesting. I'm gonna
look it up. It's like
I know
some
exactly
Netflix
the
thing.
movie you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
Oh, it's an amazing movie. You should watch that. It's probably on Tubi for sure.
It's Fincher, baby.
Okay. What is it?
It's Fincher, baby.
Gone.
Gone, baby, gone.
Gone, baby, gone.
Gone, baby, gone. Okay.
Amazing film.
Well,
that movie
go check out that. We're gonna wrap up. Oh, and the last thing, since we're just on snack, we had a big snack week this week with Oreo Coke. Have you had it yet, Nick?
No, I have not. I'm not a
Devin,
really
have you had it?
Pop drinker. Sorry to spoil the fun.
That's fine. That's probably smart. Dev, did you have it yet?
No, after I finish work early tomorrow, so I'm gonna cruise around and hit up every convenience store in the vicinity.
It does taste a little vanilla cokey.
Well, Adam's had it. He can just confirm it. He said it was good.
I've had it too.
So,
I've had it as well. Yeah. I've also had it. I had it today.
I'm too busy trying to find this other Morgan Freeman.
We also have. There's also Coke Oreos coming out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to dunk those Coke Oreos in the Oreo Coke.
That'd be great.
Did you get a 6-pack or just bottles or a 12-pack?
I literally found one bottle at the store. That was it.
Yeah, it's selling fast.
I'm on a mission tomorrow. I'm going to everywhere that sells.
It's selling
Somebody
fast.
just sent me a picture that they had. They bought the 6-pack. They found 6-packs at Walmart, I think.
Nice.
Babes in the Hood?
No, that's not the movie.
That'd be way better. It's a review title. It's a review title. That sucks.
You guys are so high on Tubi. Get some love to Pluto as well. Pluto's got some jams.
Pluto has 0 jams.
Pluto,
it just has King of Queens.
Pluto also had American Gladiators.
Yes.
Like the original.
Nightcrawler's on Pluto right now, man. Nightcrawler's on Pluto.
Okay, I think it's time we go fire up our free TV apps.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you go and check out CiFF on the 19th to the 29th everywhere. Adam, what are all the theaters they can go to?
The Globe, Chinook, Cineplex, Contemporary Calgary, The Plaza, and the Jack Singer for opening night film The Thicket, starring Peter Dinklage and Juliette Lewis. And you just talked about Napster, Devin. You should be scared because James Hetfield is in this movie.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Right. Anti-Napster himself.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, folks, cheers and enjoy the day, people.
Thank you for listening to the Fresh Take Network. Follow us on social media platforms at Fresh Take 42.